It's time we give back. Sow a seed and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back.
Welcome back to this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform. My name is Hosea James Givan II, and we're here once again showcasing one of our urban superheroes. Today's guest is Grand Master Abdul Musawwir. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us, man. So tell us about what you're into. I know you're into Tai Chi and a few things, but you came to us by one of our elders in the community who we love and embrace, and who has embraced us. And we like to get more information about a couple of things that you're involved with. I know you have a special event that's taking place in April, late April. But before we get into that, share with our audience a little bit about yourself, brother.
Okay, well, I teach a form of internal martial arts and healing. It's called Tai Chi Quan. That's just one of the things that I teach. Also parkour.
So Tai Chi Quan, what is that?
Tai Chi Quan deals with movement, physical movement, either sitting in the chair or standing up. We do not exclude anyone. And it deals with all the human functions, from breathing to stretching to digestion, elimination, because these are the things that you will see in your practice as a result of practicing Tai Chi. Mm-hmm. So you will see the improvements in your balance. Mm-hmm. If you have arthritis, you could deal with your arthritic pain, and you could do what we call cognitive restructuring. You learn how to motivate yourself better. You learn how to problem solve.
We just talked about that.
Which is very important.
Very important.
And sometimes in the class we do brainstorming. We want ideas that come from the practitioners themselves. That's very important. And it's a collective element. So basically, my job is trying to keep the communal soul alive.
Boy, do we need that.
Yes.
We really, really do. How did you get into Tai Chi, brother?
I started out first in general martial arts, what they call the external martial arts, the karate do that we call it. And I started here in the Bronx on Fox and Beck Avenue at Lynch Center, the PL there, the Police Athletic League there.
That's in Morrisania.
No, it's a little further over.
Past Morrisania? Okay.
Past Morrisania. But I did have...
Is that near Dawson Street?
It's closer to Longwood Avenue.
Okay, I know that area. My mother grew up on Dawson Street, which is right in that community. So I know it well.
Yeah, so that's where I first started learning karate from Grandmaster Remy Hannibal, my instructor. And then I moved from the Police Athletic League to 3rd Avenue and 161st Street, and I taught there for a number of years. This is all in the Bronx, mind you. And then I opened up my own school on 165th Street and Sherman Avenue, right down the street from Morris Senior Center, where Doug Jones, the light heavyweight champion, had a center. And it was a nice exchange and communication at the time.
Well, about what year was that?
This was when I opened up my own dojo. That was in 1968.
Wow, that's when America was on fire, brother, and that's when we were at a high point in terms of civic involvement, community involvement, awareness of how we can make changes in our own community. So let's talk more about how you started, the time in which you started, and the kind of support you got from the community and from some of the people that I'm sure helped you pull that thing together.
Oh yeah, I mean, the culture was you could rent a storefront.
Wow.
You know, at a reasonable price, and I got a lot of help from my students. Some of them were carpenters, plumbers, electricians, and they came in and helped build the school. And that was very important.
That sounds like that's the epitome of a community center, right? 'Cause
Yes.
it seemed like you got the community involved in the construction and in terms of just the development of it. Man, we need to resurrect that spirit, brother.
And it was a safe place, most importantly,
Right.
where men and women felt that they could come, sit down, practice, and talk, and feel like they were in the environment, a safe environment.
Right.
So there was a lot going on at that particular time. And the Bronx was burning
Yes.
at that particular time. So we had a lot of brothers and sisters who came through and found a sanctuary where they could develop not just their skills, but develop themselves and transform into future men and women. Now that when I meet them, they have families and they have children.
I was just about to ask you, do you stay connected with your former students? And I know you have some success stories in terms of some of the people that you've been involved with over the years. I read something about you being honored by Wesley Snipes at some point. So just talk about those couple things.
Yeah, well, I'm always running into ex-students who now have children and grandchildren, and they're always thanking me around the experience that they had in their early days of learning the discipline and the transformation that came about in their life as a result of the discipline and the study of karate at that particular time.
So can you tell us about how you made that transition from karate to Tai Chi?
Yes, that came about. I was socially driven to make that change and that transformation through a gentleman that was older than I that I looked up to. His name was Kim Foyer Pardue, who was a karate practitioner in the style of Goju Ryu, who he studied under Grandmaster Peter Urban at the particular time. And he went into the field of healing by becoming a chiropractor and a nutritionist.
So he became he went to medical school
Yes.
and became a chiropractor. Wow,
Yes.
that's rather amazing.
And he was my example.
Wow.
So that's why I say I was socially driven into seeking the healing aspect in the martial arts, and I never looked back.
Okay. We're gonna take a quick break, brother, and we'll be right back.
It's time we give back.
What if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Lift every voice and sing.
We are here at 1520 Cedric Avenue, universally recognized as the birthplace of hip-hop. 1520 Cedric Avenue in the Bronx was where the legendary DJ Kool Herc invented blending the break part in records.
This is DJ Kool Herc, the father of hip-hop. This is going out to my man.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
It's time we give back.
Welcome back to this segment of Ignite, Empower, Transform. My name is Hosea James Givan II, and we are here with the Grandmaster, Abdul Musawwir. Brother, I'm impressed, man, because obviously you're a self-starter, right? And we talked about, we talked about my shirt before we got on,
Yes, on the
off
air.
set, right?
Yes.
And we talked about how important it is to resurrect that spirit of activism, right? And how we grew up in a time, and there was once a time in this country within our community where people were active and engaged and felt the importance to take a stand, right? So part of why I wore this shirt, I'm trying, every now and again I try to send a subtle message. But you developed your program at a time when this country was at the high point of that level of activity and that level of civic engagement. Because I was a child at the time, but it impacted me to this day. Well, I'm still doing that to this day. But I'd like for you to talk about, there's an event that you have planned for the end of April, which I knew about it last year. We were trying to get this opportunity that we got this year, so I'm glad we did, to talk about this program, because it's so important. You started in the Bronx, and you never left the Bronx, but this, in reading your bio, I see that you're trying to use your gifts and your talent and your knowledge to help bring healing to our community. Can you talk about that?
Yes. The event is called the World Tai Chi and Qigong Day. I did not name it the World Tai Chi Qigong Day. The World Tai Chi and Qigong Day takes place around the world in everyone's respective time zones at 10 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
And
so this is a global event.
This is a global event.
Okay.
Okay. And this will be our 4th year doing this event. It will take place April 27th at Mullally Park, which is on 164th Street and River Avenue, right across the street from Yankee Stadium.
Exactly.
And our theme this year will be arthritis balance, that is dealing with...
I got to get my wife there and my daughter.
Not falling,
yeah.
Which is very important. And so that's where the event will be held this year.
Okay.
Once again, our 4th year in the Bronx, and we've been trying to bring Tai Chi and health and well-being to the public. And it's a free event.
How is it set up, man? Give us an example of, I'm coming there, what can I expect?
Okay. We start, the event is from 10 to 4 p.m., but the opening ceremonies, we will all start by doing some Tai Chi or some breathing exercise. And we want everyone to participate. So it's participatory, in that way. So you can expect that. Even if you don't know.
That's what I was about to say.
Even
so
if you
I
don't
have
know
no experience with doing this,
you don't need
I
any
can come
experience,
in
right, and participate.
Okay.
And there will be someone there that will assist you and make you feel welcome.
Okay.
And, we don't exclude anyone. It's for everyone.
Okay, fantastic.
Men and women.
Okay. Okay, that's great, man. So I do, as I said in the previous episode, I'm going to definitely get to it now. You were recognized by Wesley Snipes for your achievements in 1998. Can you talk to me about that? Or talk to us about that.
Yes, I was one of the instructors that represented Tai Chi out throughout the whole United States for the Wesley Snipes Salute to the Masters. This, for me, it was like a class reunion because I met many of my peers, Professor Moses Powell, Grandmaster George Cofield, and there were so many other masters that were there, Thomas LaPuppet. Many of them have transitioned on to the ancestors. So this was a great reunion because Mr. Snipes had invited masters throughout the United States, from LA to Chicago, New York, Philadelphia. And it was just a great event to see all the people that I read about in magazines, and now they were there participating, performing that evening. Or the day before, we met at the Tavern on the Green and broke bread together.
Oh, that's amazing. What I like to try to do before we leave is you shared with me a clip. And what I like to do before we leave this segment is share with the audience the clip that you sent us, all right? So at this time.
Tai Chi. Tai Chi deals with everything that is human. Breathing, eating, digestion. At the end of the day, we still are social creatures, and we still have to have some type of social intercourse with our peers. The social factor is very important, especially as you age. Finding someone that you could still relate to, or help, or share, And in that course, you're talking about your aches and your pains, your children, your grandchildren, your aunties. This is part of being human. And that's what I found in Tai Chi.
Wow, man, that was an amazing clip, brother. And when I saw the clip, I was impressed because of the lighting and the production. And then I come to discover it's like 3 blocks from my school in the South Bronx, which is one of the renovated areas of one of the I don't like to use the word projects, public housing developments, like I guess 4 or 5 blocks from my school. And
Yeah, I grew up in public housing. I
Right.
mean, it was a different time, but it was a great place to be.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My mother, I lived in a house, and my mother had us jealous, of people because she grew up in apartments, and I was like, I wish I grew up in apartments. The way you're
Yes.
talking about the experience.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I've come to appreciate every experience that people have in terms of their upbringing. We think that we have something special. We don't always appreciate the special but you do. And it's a different world today. You know.
Oh, yes,
The
absolutely.
experience that you had, unfortunately, is not the experience that people are having that live in public housing, unfortunately.
True that.
So, but I'm glad you had the experience that you did, and that you're sharing your knowledge and your gift with our community. I appreciate that, brother.
Thank you, Brother Hosea.
All right, brother. We'll be right back.
It's time we give back.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Boom. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Boom. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Boom.
Lift every voice and sing.
Helen Diane Foster represented District 16 in the New York City Council, which comprises of the neighborhoods Morrisania, Highbridge, and Morris Heights. She was the first Black woman in the Bronx to be elected to the City Council. She's also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Bronx Black History Makers!
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
It's time we give back.
Welcome back to this segment of Ignite, Empower, Transform. And we're showcasing another one of our urban superheroes. One of my favorite people, Elder Wali Abdun-Noor. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So
Glad
thank
to
you for introducing us to the Grandmaster. You're the one that actually brought him to our attention and the event.
Yes,
So I'm glad that you did that, because it's a very, very important activity.
Yes, it is.
And it's definitely something that the community needs to be aware of, and it's providing such a valuable service.
Yes, it is.
But you're doing something that I believe is critical to the existence, or potentially could be critical to the existence of our community as we know it in New York City. And you're dealing with emergency management. Can you talk about what you're doing and why it's important and how you got into it?
Okay. First of all, I got into it through knowing that when the lights go out, you have no communications, you're on your own. And at that time, I was working with WHCR, Harlem Community Radio Station, and we wanted to find out how we could make that an emergency station.
Right.
And one of the folks there got involved with the community.
Can you explain what is an emergency station?
It's a station that can stay on the air if the power grid goes out.
Wow. Okay.
If you remember, during, I think it was even
What, a blackout?
Blackout.
Mm-hmm.
You had no communications.
So I remember the one in '76. I was watching Beretta, and the screen went from brown to like
right, and in an emergency, communications is key.
Right.
You can't have any kind of response without communication.
Right.
And in order to get more information on how to do it, because this was back in long before 9/11.
Right.
And I was introduced to a program, a New York City program called Community Emergency Response Team.
Okay.
And there we learned, and the program still goes on, you learn how the team itself is a team that teaches you emergency preparedness. A lot of people are hearing about it now, and that is the organization in New York that really kind of spread the word about emergency preparedness, self-preparedness, and it also taught us how to help first responders in case they become overwhelmed. We were like an auxiliary to it, a backup to it. And it is a 10-week training course.
Okay.
So that's how I really got involved in it. And that mainly is for preparedness.
Right.
But then we found out through New York that New York only has enough emergency supplies and for 70,000 people for 7 days.
So this when you told me that, it stunned me. All right. So we're in a city of over 8 million people.
Yes.
And God forbid if there was ever a catastrophe,
right,
we can only really support 70,000 people. That's horrendous.
It's
that's horrendous.
Less than 1%. If you do the math, that is less than 1%. Now, the other side of that is that those emergency resources, a lot of it is in the community already. So the idea is that now we have to identify these resources and then organize them and get people to work together.
So what you're saying is, from an organizational standpoint, from the organization that's involved with, that's responsible right now, they only are capable of dealing with 70,000. But what you're saying is through the community supporting each other,
yes,
we can make it happen ourselves.
Yes,
that's important.
Yes, and again, it's like when you get on an airplane, they tell you when the mask drops down because of oxygen, low oxygen, that you got to put your mask on first.
Right.
So that's where the emergency preparedness scenarios that everybody's kind of familiar with, get your go bag, how to shelter in place and all of that type of stuff. You need to have that before you even get involved in any kind of organizational type situation.
So I have nothing like a 10-week course. I did for my position as a school counselor at my school. As you know, FEMA has like 2-hour classes that you can do online. So I got a couple of certifications for that. But we're talking about the mobilization and the organization that's required to do what you're saying. It's going to be a lot more involved. So what is the strategy in terms of how we can go about making sure that we're in a position to survive, God forbid, should some catastrophe take place?
First of all, it's an organizational type thing. Organizations, businesses, institutions, they have to recognize the situation. They have to recognize the situation that we're in. And then we have to start to bring these organizations together to learn how to work together, just normally on everyday situation. Generally, if you have a gas station there and a gas station there, they're in competition.
Correct.
Well, there's nothing actually wrong with that.
Right.
But there has to be some level of working together.
Right.
And so organizations, businesses need to start to come together just on a regular basis to develop a trust in each other. Because when you're talking about emergency, trust is the bottom line.
Yeah.
You have to be able, because now you're one side is at their lowest. They can't protect themselves. They can't, they're vulnerable to anything.
Right.
And the other side that may be in a position to help can actually take advantage of that side. So you have to develop a trust. You have to develop a camaraderie where people will help each other. It's like being on a ship and the ship is going down and you stick out a hand to help the person.
You were at the presentation by my dear friend Coach Ted Gustis, and when he talked about going from the hood to the neighborhood.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
we forget the neighbor part.
Absolutely.
We go to the hood.
Right.
But
Right.
not the neighborhood.
Excellent.
And so we have to bring back that spirit of neighborhood.
Excellent. Yes.
Dear brother, thank you so much, Elder, for being with us, and we'll have to continue this discussion. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform. My name is Hosea James Givan II, and remember, if it's in your heart, do your part. Today's help equals tomorrow's hope. I love our youth. Power to the people.
I see all your smiles and all the tears streaming down on your faces. But I know all the while it's gonna be okay, yes it is. Just open up your eyes. Open up your eyes. The sun is soon to shine. Aim your arrow high and keep reaching for the sky. It's time we give back. Someone see and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back. Don't forget, the children are our future. Let's teach them well and let them lead the way. It's our obligation. Help raise a mighty nation. Show for them a better day. Open up your eyes. The sun is soon to shine. Yeah. Aim your arrow high and keep reaching for the sky. It's time we give back. Someone see and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else.
Your girls have been with you through every moment of your life. They were with you when you felt unbreakable, and with you when you had your heart broken. They were with you when you shared your love with the world, and with you when she became your world. They're still with you right now. But how well do you know them?